A very good afternoon. You're watching News 9 with me, Akshita. Well, 362 KPSC candidates have continued their protest against the government at Freedom Park. A few candidates fell ill because of the hunger strike. They have been identified as Srinivas of Mysore and Chandan of Kunigal. They are suffering from low BP and sugar levels. They have been shifted as of now to KC General Hospital. This morning, another candidate from Bellary, Devaraju, had also fallen ill. KRV President Praveen Shetty, meanwhile, has now offered support for the KAS candidates. The candidates are fuming against the state government and have claimed that they will continue their protests until Chief Minister Siddaramaiah personally visits them at the venue. It has been over 20 days since the candidates started the protest, and they're still waiting for a response from the government. And meanwhile, of course, the Chief Minister today did once again issue a statement. This time around, he also went on to slam H.D. Kumaraswamy. Remember, HDK has pledged his support with the candidates. He's even arrived at Freedom Park to go ahead and take up these protests. Yesterday as well, this is what took place. Yesterday as well, H.D. Kumaraswamy was present to protest, and today as well he has turned up. He too is taking part in a hunger strike with the candidates. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, of course, has challenged HDK to debate on the issue, something that HDK himself had stated yesterday, that he would love to debate this particular issue with Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. And a number of protesters, as we mentioned earlier, were rushed to the hospital because of low BP and sugar levels. Here's what one of the protesters had to say.
ಆಮರಣಂತ ಉಪವಾಸ ಸತ್ಯಾಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಮಗೆ ಜೀವಂತವಾಗಿದ್ದನೋ ಸಾಯಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾವಿದು ಮೂರನೇ ಸರಿ ಉಪವಾಸ ಸತ್ಯಾಗ್ರಹ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನಮಗೆ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಆದರೂ ಕೊಡಿಸಿ, ಅಥವಾ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ಕನಸುಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ದೇಹದಲ್ಲಿ ಬದುಕಿದ್ದು ನಮಗೆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. 3 ಸರಿನೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪ್ರತಿ ಸರಿನೂ ವೈದ್ಯಕೀಯ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಧ್ಯಮದವರು ನೀವಾದರೂ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. 42-30 ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇನ್ನು ಏನು ಹೇಳೋಣ ಸರ್, ಅವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕ.
ಸರ್, ಇವಾಗ ನೀವಾಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರಾ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರಾದರೂ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಪೊಲೀಸವರು ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ, ನೀವು ಇದೇ ಥರ ಆದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಬರಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್.
ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದರು?
ಡಾಕ್ಟ್ರು ಅದೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಾಣಕ್ಕೆ ಅಪಾಯ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ಪ್ರಾಣಕ್ಕೆ ಅಪಾಯ ಇದೆ, ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಪೊಲೀಸರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ನಮ್ಮ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ, ನೀವು ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಒಂದು ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ದೇವರಾಜ್ ಅಂತ ಸರ್.
ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ ಮಿತ್ರರೇ,
These were the protesters who were seen refusing to move from the premises, and the police went ahead and forced them, saying that they will be arrested if they do not come with them to the hospital. Finally, of course, 3 of them were rushed to the hospital by the police.
No, I will not take treatment. No, treatment sir, please sir, bidi sir. Please come, bidi sir. CM ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಡ್ರಾಮಾ ಅಂತ ಬಿಡಿ ಸರ್. ಬೇರೆ ಸರ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ, ಏನೇ ಮಾಡೋದು ತಗೊಳ್ಳಲ್ಲ. ಆಕಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಿತ್ತಾಕ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಡ್ರಾಮಾ. ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಐಡಿ ಆಕರ್ಷಿತ ಕಿತ್ತಾಕ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಹಿಂದೆ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬೇರೆ ನಡಿ.
And of course, quite a bit of chaos being witnessed there in Freedom Park. Several of the protesters upping the pressure, upping the ante against the government. Even as H.D. Kumaraswamy has joined in the agitations, he too is on a hunger strike with with the candidates, and of course he stated that this is a very, very painful issue, and he's also stated that it's not for politicizing it as such. It's not so he can take revenge against Siddaramaiah, not because he is not against corruption, but he claims that the wrong thing has been done here, a wrong decision has been taken by the government. But it looks like by the day there's more and more support pouring in for the candidates. We do understand that now KRB activists have also come together along with the candidates at Freedom Park staging a protest. Remember, H.D. Kumaraswamy had given a deadline of sorts to the state government to revoke their decision. Siddaramaiah went on to dismiss the same, saying that there's absolutely no way they will revoke that decision, upon which H.D. Kumaraswamy went on to challenge Siddaramaiah to a big debate just yesterday. He slammed the government, but at the same time said that this is not some sort of political vendetta against Siddaramaiah or the government, but he seriously believes that a mistake has been made. And today, Siddaramaiah went on to challenge HDK to a debate, and H.D. Kumaraswamy has gladly agreed. And well, the war between Siddaramaiah and H.D. Kumaraswamy has intensified over the KPSC issue. The Chief Minister today challenged HDK to an open debate after the latter questioned the government's decision to scrap the 2011 KPSC recruitment. The Chief Minister challenged Kumaraswamy to find any faults in the process, as the decision was taken based on the CID report. The Chief Minister also questioned how the candidates who scored so well in return exam fared so badly in the vivas. Meanwhile, H.D. Kumaraswamy has accepted the Chief Minister's challenge and said that he is ready for a debate. He also asked Siddaramaiah to decide the venue and time of the debate. Kumaraswamy later arrived at the protest site and said there was no political conspiracy behind his move to support the protesting KPSC candidates.
Yesterday, I requested the Chief Minister of Karnataka have one-to-one discussion anywhere in the public or on the TV panel media. I am ready to accept Chief Minister if he is ready to come to the media or any place to discuss about this issue, about this KPSC. I am ready. I welcome Siddaramaiah if he is ready to discuss with me. Even with him, not only Siddaramaiah, our Advocate General also, he can also participate in that discussion. I am ready to discuss.
That was H.D. Kumaraswamy going ahead and taking up that challenge, saying that he's more than ready to discuss the issue with the Chief Minister as well as the Advocate General to go ahead and prove his point. And well, it definitely looks like H.D. Kumaraswamy is making it very clear he's going to pile on the pressure on the Chief Minister and the government to ensure that if not revoke, they at least go ahead and once again think through the decision they have made. Of course, Siddaramaiah has gone ahead and dismissed H.D. Kumaraswamy, making it very clear that he is confused. He stated that he wants to fight against corruption and yet is against this particular decision. But H.D. Kumaraswamy has made it very, very clear that he will not back off. He is ready for any sort of debate and that he will continue this agitation until action is taken by the government. And no doubt, of course, the protesters are also making it very clear that they want the Chief Minister to intervene. Mere statements are not enough for them. They want him to be present at Freedom Park and speak to them personally about the issue so they can go ahead and address their grievances. They can go ahead and talk about what is the issue at hand and why they are protesting. Remember, it's not just over the last 3 days, but for the last 20 days or so that they have been protesting. My colleague Bansi now joins us live from Freedom Park. Bansi, over to you. Take us through the scale of protests out there.
Well, the Freedom Park is still on the boil. This is the third day of the intensive protest and 21st day of the normal protest, because this protest began 21 days ago. And then it was fairly normal, although it was a hunger strike. But this intensity is for the past 3 days. And this is ever since the government came out with this order annulling all the KPSC appointments. So ever since this entire protest has gathered momentum today, Mr. H.D. Siddaramaiah coming here and saying that wherever Mr. H.D. Kumaraswamy coming here and saying that wherever Mr. Siddaramaiah is willing to call him for a debate, he is willing to challenge him on this issue. He says, if Siddaramaiah comes here, I will come here. If necessary, if he gives me time, I'll go to his house. So Mr. Kumaraswamy is sounding fairly determined. Now, Mr. Kumaraswamy, the former Chief Minister of Karnataka, also says that a certain Public Works Department Association president says that 20 to 30 lakh are being paid for transfers. He says if this is the situation, then the state government is wallowing in corruption. So he makes very specific allegations against Mr. Siddaramaiah. We will have to wait and see what Mr. Siddaramaiah's response is. He says in seeking the legal opinion, Mr. H.D. Kumaraswamy says, in seeking legal opinion, the government has consulted with the Advocate General, who has spoken of a word called as oral documentary evidence. He says such a word does not even exist. He has checked the internet and the dictionaries. He says such a word does not exist. So what really is the government talking about? He has made very specific allegations against Mr. Siddaramaiah, saying Siddaramaiah had earlier challenged Mr. Kumaraswamy, saying Mr. Kumaraswamy was the one seeking to do politics over this issue. Mr. HDK hitting back at Mr. Siddaramaiah, saying it is Mr. Siddaramaiah in the cancellation who is seeking to do politics over this issue. So point by point rebuttal to whatever Mr. Siddaramaiah was alleging, was saying, has been made by Mr. H.D. Kumaraswamy.
Right, Bansi, of course, that political war continues to rage on, but if you could take us through what are the protests like? We understand that KRV activists have also joined hands with the candidates now to go ahead and protest against the decision.
Well, let me just brief you about the today's updates. 3 persons who are fasting, 3 persons who were in great agony, they have been taken away by the police in an ambulance because let's remember, even once the protest began, on the 3rd day, the police had taken away 4 persons who were on an indefinite fast. So, for reasons of, because one cannot really fast indefinitely, and their BP levels were showing, also their sugar levels were showing. So the police moving them to the hospital. This is in spite of the protests here. Now, even as we are talking, in the background you can see the protests are quite vocal. The protests, you can see Mr. H.D. Kumaraswamy sitting there. Among the protesters, you can see the supporters of the Karnataka Rajya Raita Sangha. You can see supporters of Praveen Shetty, that is KRV, Kannada Rakshana Vedike, JDS, and all the others coming in here, especially over this. In fact, what we see is the agitation is gathering momentum. This is the 21st day since they began this hunger strike, and this is the 3rd day of the intensive agitation. Now, what happens next, we will have to wait and see, because the government is quite determined that they will not roll back this order. So, if that is the case, then the protest, the intensity could just continue. And will it yield them any results is a question.
Right, Bansi, thank you so much for joining us with all those details. Well, there you have it, the protests intensifying come day 3 post the decision. Of course, they've been protesting for the last 20 days, and now political support coming in the form of H.D. Kumaraswamy. KRV activists have also come together to be a part of the protest. So it looks like the protests are only gaining momentum at this point, with more and more people joining hands with the 2011 KPSC candidates.